Wait a minute. Christianity is a relationship, not a religion? What does that mean? You may have heard that phrase before. Christianity is a relationship, not a religion. What it means is that the point of Christianity is to have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. It's not about doing certain things and not doing certain things, going to church, being in the choir, reciting creeds. It's not about any of those things. It's about knowing God. I want to share with you a little bit about my journey because I went from religion to relationship. And that shift from religion to relationship with God is the most significant shift anybody can really make. It is true. Christianity is not a religion. It is a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Let's take a look at how to make that shift if all it is to you is religion. I've been packing a lot of boxes, unpacking a lot of boxes lately as we've had a move. And sometimes when you unpack some boxes, you find some treasures, things you forgot you had and kind of mean a lot to you and say a lot to you. You unpack the box and you're like, oh, look at this. Well, I unpacked the box and found this Bible. This was the family Bible for us kids when we were growing up. My parents would read it to us. So it really struck me when I opened up the cover and saw the presented to part, the first page, presented to. And it was presented to all of my siblings and to me. To my sister Eleanor, who was 8, and it lists the date, the year of their age at the time. Eleanor 8, Johnny 5, Tommy 7, Douglas, that's me, 2, and Jamie, my younger brother, and in parentheses after his name, it said 0. He was 0 at the time. Yes, before our first birthday, we're not even 1. Did you know that? We are 0. It's got to be fun to be 0, right? So he was 0. And I can look back and I can tell you that we read from the family Bible. I can tell you that I believe there was a God. I can tell you that I went to church a lot. I can tell you that I talked about God to other people. But looking back, here's what I know about my growing up experience with God. It was not a relationship with God. I didn't have a relationship with God. I had a religion. I did the things you were supposed to do. I tried to be good. I went to church out of obligation. I said the right things. I knew how to say the right things. I knew how to play the role. Let me tell you, after 30 years of experience as a pastor, lots of people know how to play the role in church. Lots of people know how to say the right things. Lots of people are doing religion, but they are not doing relationship with God. So everything changed for me when I was 19 years old. And I really made that shift that we were talking about, where I said, wait a minute. Yeah, I had done all this stuff. Yeah, I was brought up this way, but I have been keeping God out of my life. And that is wrong. And believe it or not, I said that in a ski lodge room in the middle of nowhere. And it was right then that I said, you know what? I want relationship with God. That's what I'm made for, not religion. I'm thankful for anyone who showed me the Bible or helped point the way, but I didn't make the decision. It wasn't real for me. I didn't have a relationship. I just had a religion until I made that decision in that ski lodge room years ago. I went from knowing about God to knowing God. I accepted Christ into my life. Jesus Christ is fully God, fully man. He came to die for our sins so that we can begin a relationship with God. He didn't die for our sins so that we can begin a religion with God. He didn't die for our sins so that we could say the right things. He didn't die for our sins so we can go to church and try to be good. He died for our sins so that our sin wouldn't keep us from a relationship with him. And so right there in the middle of nowhere, I accepted Christ into my life, went from religion to relationship. That is everything. You know, in John chapter 1, verse 12, there's a very important verse, and it goes like this. It says, "But as many as received him," Jesus, "to them he gave the right to become children of God." Interesting. He says that until we receive him, we don't have that relationship. We're not a child of God yet. We have to go from religion. We have to go from all that emptiness. We have to go from that to relationship, to receiving him. John 1:12, making it clear, Christianity is a relationship, not a religion. It's not the empty stuff. It's not saying the right things. It's knowing God personally, having him in our life, having him in our heart. One of the things I've learned as I said, over the 30 years of being a pastor, is that people can go very, very long periods of time as a good religious person in church. They can be voted as an elder, as a deacon. They can be faithful to their choir. They can be at church several times a week, not just on Sunday, and not have a relationship with God, not having ever received him into their life. That is where many people get this whole thing wrong. And when they criticize Christianity, when they say, I don't want any part of that, often they're thinking of empty religion that many people are practicing. God doesn't want you to be part of that either. He wants you to be part of relationship with him. That's everything. That's so different. That's knowing the Creator. That's living with him in your heart. Not saying some creeds, not doing the right things, not giving up some stuff. It's about loving him. And when he comes into your heart, you're going to realize the big difference between relationship and religion. You're going to realize, I want relationship. That's for everyone. Empty religion, if you say, that's not for me, you're right. It's not for anybody. Oh, this is supposed to be a life-captivating relationship with God. And having a relationship with God, knowing him, having him in your heart, that is for everybody. So the confusion sometimes is that we're not trying to push religion on people when we talk about God and we talk about Jesus Christ. We're trying to say there's a relationship available for every person that you don't want to miss out on. There's a little story that seems to illustrate this pretty well. It has to do with this reading group, a group that would get together and they would read portions of literature and so forth. One day, this reading group had a special guest join them. The guy was a professional reader. So they were like, wow, we want to hear from him. So they said to him, would you read to us Psalm 23? That's the psalm that goes, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And you know the psalm, perhaps. And so the professional reader agreed. He said, I'll do it under one condition, though. In your group, you've got a 90-year-old man who was a minister for decades. I'll read Psalm 23 if afterward he reads Psalm 23. So everyone agreed. The professional reader then read Psalm 23 perfectly. Oh, his intonation was great. Every word said just the right way. And when he was done, everyone in the reading group applauded, gave him a big round of applause. But then the minister got up and he, the 90-year-old, he read Psalm 23. And after he read it, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. So everyone in the group went over to the professional reader and they said, what's your take? Why is it that when you read Psalm 23, you got, applause, but when he read Psalm 23, there wasn't a dry eye in the house? So the professional reader said this, I know why. I can tell you why. I can tell you the difference. He said, I know the psalm, but he knows the shepherd. There is such a big difference between knowing the psalm and knowing the shepherd. There is such a big difference about knowing the creeds versus knowing God. There is such a big difference between knowing religion and having a relationship with Jesus Christ. Oh, that difference is everything. So in Revelation chapter 3, verse 20, we read something very important. This is a great verse to commit to memory, to commit to knowing, and most importantly, to commit to applying to your life. Revelation 3:20 says this, and it's Jesus speaking, and he says, "Here I am. I stand at the door of your heart or your life. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into them and eat with them and they with me. I will have fellowship with them." Here's what God is wanting. That you open the door of your heart and your life and you say yes to a relationship with Him. And it may mean that you go from your religious acts to relationship. It may mean that you say, wait a minute, all I've been doing is keeping Christ outside of my life while He's been knocking. While He's been knocking on the door of my heart, on the door of my life, I've been doing religious things instead of opening the door. Oh, put down the religious things, open the door. Begin the relationship with Jesus Christ. All you got to do is say, Jesus, I want you in my life. I'm sorry for my sin. I've kept you out of my life. And when you do, you're making the shift that God's calling you to make. Again, God's not calling anyone to empty religion. He's not calling you just to be able to say the right things, go to church, be an elder, say the creeds, believe there's a God, know about God. He's calling you to know Him. He's calling you not to know the psalm, He's calling you to know the shepherd. Say to God, I want to know the shepherd and not just the psalm. I want to know the shepherd, not just the creeds. I want to know the God who made me. I want to know Jesus Christ, not just be in a choir, not just be an elder. Friends, that's the greatest shift you can make, because it really is true. Christianity is not just a religion. Christianity is a relationship with Jesus Christ. If all you know is the psalm, come to know the shepherd. Friends, so glad you've been with us today. Hope you're enjoying the midweek devotionals and all of our top 50 questions. We're having such a fun time making the videos and such a fun time being with you. Hope it's fun for you too. Hope you'll check out everything, and I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. And remember, for every question, there's always an answer.